I tell about us two landing in jail. During a usual, yet tiring shopping outing with my mother, we had just stopped at the Salvation Army store on Cherry Avenue and left with a few purchases. She impulsively asked to go to the SPCA rummage sale, and I ended up taking 4th Street Northwest to stop by the McDonald's there for a cup of tea to go. When at the place now known as Quickville Game and Hobby, status unchanged on the place website, Mom and I read the sign on the window that led me to an occurrence I was waiting for. The place under new ownership, with burning it down being the alternative. So, I continue ahead for the tea, and Mom asked for a smoothie. On an impulse of the newfound piece of freedom, I drove back to the place. Upon closer inspection, I read the new owner sign further, stating, under new ownership of Mike and Madeline. I had thought perhaps it was another Mike. Mom insisted on coming in with me, so we did. And a few steps in, who did our eyes see in the new center counter past employee Nathan and Michael Snyder? I hid behind my mother for a moment, and Mike pointed us out the door, but before leaving, I whipped out my 3DS, activated its camera, and took his photo. Then I shouted, "For the internet!" Mom and I made our way to the van and entered it. Mike followed us out and stood right in front of the van, thinking he was Stonewall Jackson. We backed up the van some. Mike chased us. Mom took the wheel. Mike twice made his own deliberate leg scars, rubbing his legs on our bumper, banged our hood, and fell backwards. We had not moved our van at either instance of him faking his falls. And more shit happened. Mom called 911 on my phone first, followed shortly after by Mike being handed a phone by someone else for him to make his call. Eventually, Mother backed us out onto 4th Street Northwest northward, and we escaped. But at the traffic light, we were caught by a cop car. Parked at the nearby courthouse, 2 of the cop cars and us in the van exchanged the tales of the event and our driver licenses. Eventually, I was asked to step out of the van. I was about to be handcuffed, but I would not have another handcuffing, so I fought. I was pinned and I was handcuffed. My new pair of $324 prescription lens glasses were broken by them in the fight. My mother fought the police in my defense, and she was handcuffed, and I was emotionally distraught. I screamed and screamed and screamed until an ambulance came for my mother to take her to the UVA hospital. She was okay, but her blood pressure was high. I was driven to, entered, and thrown into a cell block. At first, for a while, I was as melodramatic and sane as Daria. Then I started going crazy. I shouted television talk and songs at random, took off my shirt due to the heat, pretended to be a genie with light brown hair for a while, and made an acquaintance with a stainless steel sink with a hex-shaped bowl. I prayed a lot to Jesus for my release and safe return home with my mother, and I banged the cell door with both my feet while lying on a folding mattress on the floor to get those bastards to let me see and talk to my mother. Eventually, my mother arrived, tried to post bail, but there were errors. Rocky was called to help us. Bless her and her husband so much. Then my mother was jumpsuited and jailed. I was too shortly before. And I was moved to 2 other cells. Only after seeing my mother in her suit pass my second cell did I start to calm down. I was really worried about my mother and her health. She needed me, and I needed her. Eventually, in cell 3, I dozed off and slept for a few hours. I did not eat their food. I had never eaten prison food, and I was not going to start then. About 3 p.m. on the 29th, Mom and I were released, and Rocky and her husband drove us back to our van. Now, Mom and I each have our own courthouse dates. I'm sure Mom will be only fined, but I have the worst of cases. Mom and we are certain I will be found not guilty. It was a case of deliberate deception with the new ownership sign from Michael, and my falling for his trap. I later printed out the facts of Mike from the quickie that night, and I found the CWC Michael Snyder interview video on YouTube, where the clown-faced troll called Mike. Michael Snyder confesses to wanting to lure me in and land me in jail with a Pokemon tournament on the 22nd. I have streamed from my PS3 to my laptop to get an MP4 of the video, and to burn the video onto a DVD-R. With this great amount of evidence, we will find Michael guilty of being a troll/cyberbully among those who have been pestering, deceiving, tricking, blackmailing, etc. me for about 4 years now. That's the story I share with you. In strictest confidence, do not tell anyone, please. Do not ask, do not tell. Barbara and I were working diligently to deal with this. Currently, her court date is set for December 15th. Mine is yet to be determined on November 7th, but it'll probably be on the same day as my mother's. We have also been blessed with connections from Rocky at my church to have Robert B. Bell, Delegate Republican Methodist Esquire, to represent Barbara and me in both of our cases. It may help to have you come in for support on my trial, and as a character witness. I will send you an update later on. Stay safe. Christian Weston Chandler.
So I went to my car, just then ran in and got Michael, and then Michael jumped in front of my car. He jumped in front of my car. As a matter of fact, he jumped up to the top of my hood. He was looming over my windshield. It was horrifying. So I backed my car up. And I backed it up to my right. Then I see that there was like a couple of police cars in front of me, so that was like the wrong way to go. I should have backed up the other way, but anyway. So to go around them,